How's it going, vaqueros, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing awesome, and I hope you're enjoying Season 4. Now, Season 4 came out not too long ago, and with it we got a lot of balancing changes, but not too much to the shotgun category. So what I wanted to do with today's video is finally go over what I think are some of the best shotgun loadouts to use in Warzone currently. With this list, I'll basically give you guys ranked from sort of the worst to best of the best shotguns to use currently in Warzone, at least based off my own use and experience and all that good stuff. And with it, I'll talk about the pros and cons, as well as giving you guys a class to use for that particular shotgun. So with that being said, make sure to check out the timestamps in the description below if you want to hop to a certain one or just see where I put certain ones. So with all that being said, let's just go ahead and hop right into it with the one that I put in the number 5 spot, which is the Lockwood 680. The Lockwood 680 is a sad shotgun for me because it started off so strong in Warzone, and then eventually it's just caught nerf after nerf, and now it's not nearly as good as it was, but it's still solid in the right hands. Of course, it is a pump action, so you're going to have to be able to finesse people and use movement to your advantage. Some good things about this gun are primarily the damage it does. It does about 200 damage per shot, out to about 6.5 meters or so, which is much further than the other pump actions. They only deal 200 out to about maybe 3 to 4 given on the barrel and stuff, but for the base gun, this still does 200 damage out past 6 meters, which is kind of insane and very, very good. It's also got the fastest rate of fire in the pump action category, and this is not talking about the Model 1887s, or I'm sorry, the Jack Wardens, which can technically shoot faster. This has a very good fire rate, and so it's a little bit more forgiving in that sense. Now, the things that I don't like about it, it's got a pretty bad sprint to fire speed, and this is probably one of the worst things about it. It's just very hard to get your gun up after sprinting, which for these type of guns is very important. It also has a slower aim down sights movement speed, which I'm definitely not a fan of as something where you need to be very mobile, and it only has 6 pellets. Unlike other pump actions, this thing only shoots 6 compared to the normal 8 for most shotguns, and that's something you'll see Sledgehammer Games do with their shotguns, is they typically play with the pellet count a lot more, which is interesting, but this one falls flat in some ways. Although I think it does have some utility, it's still a great pump action. It's definitely harder to use. As for my loadout that I've been using for this is a sprint to fire speed focused loadout. No, we're not using a choke or a barrel for better range. If you could, you wanted to, but this one, it really needs all the help it can get with the sprint to fire speed. So this is the one I landed on, and it's got a great tac stance spread as well. So it's very good. And as always with most shotguns in this game, pretty much all of them, I really recommend tac stancing because it's just such a great way to run them, and you get better mobility, all that good stuff. This is a loadout you guys gotta try, and it's definitely got some success with me, although it does fall flat compared to some of the others on this list. Next up is the KV Broadside from Modern Warfare 2. This is one that I used recently and made a video on that I was actually very surprised how good it felt. Now, of course, this thing got nerf after nerf as well, but it's still pretty damn solid, and I was actually really surprised how smooth and how good it felt and how many gunfights I was able to win. One-on-one gunfights were pretty easy to win with this thing as long as I was kind of up close and actually playing to the strengths of the gun, which is being very, very close. Now, for some pros and cons, this thing is, like I said, very smooth, easy to handle. This doesn't have a ton of visual recoil, which some shotguns really do. Like the Haymaker, they can be a little bit crazy with the visual recoil if you're not careful, and it has a decent sprint to fire speed, and it's got a very good time to kill up close at about 480 milliseconds, which is really amazing. Now, for the cons, this has a very steep drop off. Right after its first ranges where it has that really great time to kill, it basically drops off the face of the earth out to about 900 milliseconds, which can get you killed. And also, Dragon's Breath is kind of pointless. I don't recommend Dragon's Breath on this shotgun because all it does is hurt your time to kill up close and then make the damage drop off even steeper, and it doesn't really provide any benefit other than maybe blinding the enemies. I guess that's kind of trolly and kind of fun, but in all honesty, if you're trying to be sort of utilitarian here and get the most use out of the shotgun, just rock the base ammo. Now, in terms of the best class, this is the one I was able to rock on. It's got solid range, great time to kill. Even though it does have a steep drop off, we're going to have good sprint to fire speed, and it's very usable. It's just such a smooth experience, and out of all the spammy shotguns, this one is probably my favorite to use overall because of just how good it feels. Now on to the next on the list, which is the Riveter full auto shotgun from Modern Warfare 3 with Incendiary specifically. With Incendiary, this thing has a very, very good damage profile for a shotgun, where even though it's very limited in range, it has a great time to kill across the board, and that's one of the things that's really, really nice about it. And it actually has one of the fastest time to kills in the entire game at a whopping 300 milliseconds up close. Granted, it's only out to about 2.5 meters, but point blank, if you're barrel stuffing someone, they will be deleted from existence. It's that good and that fast. So of course, some of the pros about this thing, very easy to use. It is full auto. Doesn't really get much easier than that. You just hold the trigger down and bam, there you go. It's got amazing time to kills on paper, even in its furthest ranges. For a shotgun, it really doesn't have that bad of a drop off, and it's actually surprisingly good at pretty much any range you use it compared to pretty much any gun out there. It's really surprisingly good when it comes to its theoretical time to kills. And of course, with tac stance, it has very good tac stance spread potential. It has a very tight spread, and it's actually very easy to use with it. Now, the biggest con, and pretty much the only con to it, other than maybe some sprint to fire speed difficulties, is the fact that it only shoots 4 pellets. As I said before, most shotguns shoot 8 pellets by default. This one shoots half of that, only 4. And this is by far one of the things that makes it difficult to use if you're not careful, because a wide spread, or God forbid you try to actually aim down sights with this using its sights, it can be very hard to land your shots well, and you'll end up with a lot of kill trades, or they're just going to down you. You're like taking 12 shots and wondering, what the hell am I doing wrong? It's probably because it only shoots 4 pellets, so you got to make sure you have a nice tight spread, use tac stance, and get your shots very close as much as possible. And with that, I promise you, you guys will have a great time with this shotgun. It's one of my favorites, so definitely give this one a try if you haven't. Taking a step back towards the pump action category again, we have the Bryson 890. Now this one, I really do consider probably to be the best pump action in the game, and I've seen quite a bit of people using this actually recently. A lot of sort of movement demons are using it, and for good reason. It's got great mobility overall, it's got decent range, and it has 8 rounds by default. It's a magazine with 8 rounds, so it pretty much means you're good to go in quads, trios, solos, duos, whatever mode you choose. It's pretty much good to go as is. Now for the cons, it does have a 2-shot range that is basically a little bit less than some of the other ones. The Bryson 800 has a better 2-shot, the Lockwood 680 has a better 2-shot, and of course even the Model 1887s, they also have a much better 2-shot. So this thing kind of falls flat in that department, but overall it's very snappy, very speedy, great aim down sights movement speed. It's just such a great pump action overall. If you're looking for a solid gold standard to use for the pump action category, I would say the 890 is definitely the way to go. Although the other ones, they're still good. I feel like this one just inches forward a little bit because of the pros I mentioned, and it just feels super great. So definitely don't overlook this one. This is the class I'm rocking for it. I am using the MSP98 hand stop, so I don't hurt my tac stance spread, but I do get some better mobility. If you want, for a better sprint to fire speed, you could use a laser if you wanted to get an even better spread as well. But if you want to switch an attachment, I would say maybe swap out the hand stop for something else. So again, very good pump action, highly recommend. Now I did say 5 builds, but I'm going to throw in a bonus here just because I know a lot of people are probably curious about it. The Lockwood Mark II conversion kit, or rather the Jack Wardens or the Model 1887s, however you want to call them, I'm going to consider them an honorable mention. These things pack a damn good punch. They are very strong. In the right hands, they are a menace. They still seem to have a weird kind of damage profile. It doesn't seem to be intended. They can potentially 2-shot out to maybe 15 meters or so. It's a ridiculous 2-shot range, but it's not super consistent. And the reason I consider this an honorable mention is because since it's akimbo and it's got a very tight spread, or a tighter spread, it's very difficult to use super well if you're not careful. Me personally, I suck when it comes to hip firing shotguns like this, so this thing can be very difficult for me to use against really good players, but there's a ton of potential here. If you're a movement demon and you can handle the spread, it's going to be a great shotgun. A mouse and keyboard player, you can probably make quick work of people with this thing, so I'm considering it an honorable mention because it is a lot more difficult to use than the other pump actions. You can aim down sights to get that nice rotational aim assist slow down, so it is harder in that sense, but overall, this thing, like I said, packs a damn good punch. You just have to be very good to use it. And if you can use it well, it might be one of the better shotguns in the game. So I just figured I'd throw it in the list just so you guys can see it. And next up on the list is one that I probably consider to be the best overall because it's just kind of great in everything and maybe falls short in a few areas, but overall it's very easy to use and just sort of a well-rounded shotgun for a ton of people to use. It's very easy. This is of course the Haymaker. It's a semi-auto shotgun, very similar time to kill to the KV Broadside, but it has a few upsides we'll talk about in a second. First of all, like I said, it's very easy to use. It's a spam cannon, so you just kind of point and shoot up close, and hopefully that does the trick as long as you're pushing the range really close, which is of course the difficult thing to work with these spammy shotguns. Another really great thing about it is it has a ton of damage. Up close, it deals about 144 damage per shot, which means it can 3-shot, and it's very strong in that first max damage range, so it's very good. Now when it comes to the cons, really, the sprint to fire speed is probably the worst thing about it. It's just kind of slow. A lot of attachments are going to hurt it. If you want to rock a 12-round mag or 20-round mag or a big barrel or something like that, you're going to have to offset it with some attachments to really help your sprint to fire speed because it does hurt it quite a bit. Now, another really great thing about this is that its damage profile isn't too bad when it comes to the damage drop off. Normally there's a very steep drop off, but with the base ammo with this thing, it doesn't drop off nearly as hard. It drops from a 3 to a 4 to a 5 shot. Now, I do want to talk about Dragon's Breath. The thing about Dragon's Breath is it will extend your 3-shot kill range by an okay bit, but it has a steeper drop off after that. So it basically goes from 3 shots to 5 shots, and its 5-shot kill, not super great on paper. It's close to a second, so it's very bad in that sense. But with the base ammo, even though you don't have as much of a 3-shot range, you have more consistency across ranges, and it doesn't drop off as hard, so it goes from a 3 to a 4 to a 5-shot kill. So in my opinion, I recommend using the base ammo, but I can see the argument being made for the Dragon's Breath ammo as well. Now, this is the class I was able to land on. As you can see, I am rocking the big barrel and a lot of attachments to help with the sprint to fire speed. If you want to rock the 20-round mag, feel free, but I felt like 12 was just enough in pretty much every game mode. Overall, this is a very solid shotgun, and if you want to rock Dragon's Breath, I would say maybe take out that Blitz tactical grip and put Dragon's Breath on instead. It's just really hard to beat having that big barrel, so I do recommend using that, even though it does hurt your sprint to fire speed. So there you have it, guys. Those are 6 shotgun loadouts to try that I think are the best in Warzone currently. Of course, there's other shotguns to use that are fun and niche, but these are the sort of the most well-rounded, where they're not super extreme in one way, they're pretty much well-rounded in a lot of ways, and these are just ones that I think are solid overall that I think you guys should definitely not be ignoring if you're wanting to check out a shotgun in the game. Now, of course, that's just my thoughts and just based off my experience and the time to kills and all the data I've seen for it, but of course, I want to know what you guys think. What are some of the shotguns you guys prefer using? Do you disagree with my list? Do you think that maybe there's some shotguns I didn't mention that should actually deserve to be on this list? And with all that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.